to honor the great accomplishments of the students before you. Please stand and join me with Senior Class Vice President Mary James as she leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hello. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. A Renaissance man is defined as someone who has a variety of interests and areas of knowledge. And A. Gotham exemplifies this idea. A fantastic student with a passion for computer science, an athlete who loves the sport of tennis, and an innovator who took these passions and for the past 5 years has volunteered at the Western Southern Open, where he helped to develop a unique computer program for the tournament. Ane has already begun to leave his mark on the world. In preparation for this day, I asked Ane what message he would want to leave for the class of 2020. He summarized that concept in what he called the 5 H's. Be humble, be healthy, be helpful, be hungry, and be happy. Ane has been part of the Indian Hill community for the past 5 years and has certainly exuded the 5 H's along the way. In the fall, Ane will be headed to Georgia Institute of Technology, where he will further pursue his passions and make his mark on the world. It is my honor to welcome your salutatorian of the class of 2020, Mr. Ane Gotham.
On behalf of the class of 2020, I would like to introduce the special guests who are joining us this evening, starting with our members of the Board of Education, Mrs. Nancy Eichholz, Mrs. Kim Martin-Lewis, Dr. Eddie Hooker, Mrs. Elizabeth Johnston, Mrs. Nikki Singh, Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Kirk Kennecke, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Melissa Stewart, District Treasurer, Mr. Mick Davis, Director of Pupil Services, Erica Leppert, and Mrs. Heather Higdon, Director of Communications. From the elementary school, Assistant Principal, Dr. Eric Owens, Middle School Principal, Mrs. Jennifer Euland, Assistant Principal, Mr. Cash Hayden, High School Principal, Mr. Jeff Damadeo, and Assistant Principal, Mr. Mike Hayes, and finally, the outstanding faculty and staff of Indian Hill High School. Thank you all for being here to share this evening with us. Now, will everyone please rise and join in the singing of our national anthem? And boys, please remove your hats.
My first memory that highlights just how special and unique Jonah Sorsha as was back in 2017 as he and our amazing theater crew performed Anne in Green Gables. Playing the role of Gilbert Blythe, the boyfriend of Anne Shirley, who's the main character, who was performed by Junior Riley Grace, I was simply in awe of the sheer talent that this amazing young man possesses. Since then, Jonah has been part of every single musical production Indian Hill has staged, and his talent has simply grown. Featured on Local 12 almost 1 year ago, Jonah was captured participating in the Cincinnati Piano Project, sponsored by the In the Round Theater Company, where the goal was simply to bring the love of music to others. Whether in the classroom or on the stage, Jonah simply shines. Although I will miss seeing Jonah running into school across these very bricks every morning at exactly 7:59 and 58 seconds, I cannot wait to see what the future holds for this outstanding Brave. As a native New Yorker, I could close my eyes and see the bright lights of Broadway surrounding his picture as he shares his gift with countless others. But perhaps what impresses me most about Jonah is not his musical talent or his ridiculous dance moves, but his heart. Over a month ago, when I asked what his favorite memory was for Indian Hill High School, he talked about being asked to be part of the Courageous Conversation student group, a group dedicated to discussing equity and inclusion in our school. A true leader, he challenges us all to see good in everyone and make sure that together we thrive. One of the most important character traits you'd like to see in your students and in your own children is confidence in who they are and what they believe. Jonah embodies this idea and every day makes the world a better place and brings smiles to all whom he interacts with. In the fall, Jonah will continue his education and passionate pursuit of music at Harvard University. It is my honor to welcome the valedictorian of the class of 2020, Mr. Jonah Sorsha.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank Mr. Domadeo and the administration who have all worked tirelessly to put together the best possible graduation we could have given the circumstances. I know so many other schools that had to have their graduation over Zoom, so I feel so lucky to have an administration that listens to its students and always strives to give us the best possible experience. When I stepped foot into this building 4 years ago, I could never have imagined how different I would be walking out of it. Throughout high school, all around us, our lives were constantly changing. Each year, we'd have 7 completely different teachers teaching us 7 completely different courses. Each year, we'd make new friends, and we'd lose some. Each year, we changed our interests, we changed our values, we changed our hair, some of us a bit too much, choices. Some things died, and they died hard. Rest in peace to the era of the clout goggles. It was a valiant effort. But it's all these changes that have shaped us into the people we are today. Now, some things never change. I know that all is well with the world when I scroll through my feed after a football game to see that it's been flooded with pictures from the army of camo girls proclaiming that they forgot to wear pants. Seriously, though, if it weren't for the many traditions here at Indian Hill, we wouldn't be standing here having this ceremony today. But even traditions must adapt. Look around you. This isn't the graduation any of us expected, and yet here we are, about to enter an uncertain world that's changing every single day. We may never return to life as we know it, and in some ways that's terrifying. But perhaps this is a wake-up call to the fact that life as we know it was broken to begin with. The pandemic has exposed the systemic inequality that exists throughout this country like never before, and the threat it poses to our safety has made us that much more aware of the fact that we only have one life to live. So I stand here today and ask you, what better time than now to make a change? I was talking with some friends the other day about which decades we all belong in, and someone said, I wish I could have lived in the 1960s so that I could have been part of, the civil rights era or the women's liberation movement. And that's when I realized this, right now, is our 1960s. People everywhere are protesting for the rights of those who have been silenced for too long, whether it be based on their race, their gender, their sexual orientation, and in many ways it's working. As a queer person living in Ohio myself, I had no protection from the fact that I could be fired from my job on the basis of my sexual orientation until last week. Now, I feel confident that because of the love you all have given me, together we can make a difference. But this fight is far from over, and if we want to see true progress, we've got to be willing to be in it for the long haul. In the words of Robert Frost, quote, "The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." So as we move into this next chapter of our lives, we need to take what we've learned in these past 4 years with us. Just like we made changes throughout high school to shape us into who we wanted to be, it's up to us to make the changes that we want to see in the world. Because if we keep advocating for a return to normalcy, how will we as a society ever grow? Yes, I know how frustrating it is that this pandemic had to happen at a pivotal moment in our lives. But this is a pivotal moment in our history. It's our time. Thank you.
Welcome, friends, families, colleagues, and most of all, the class of 2020. I almost cannot believe we are together today celebrating this amazing group of seniors. Getting us here today has been an interesting and arduous process, and I'd like to start by saying thank you to all of you up there sitting on your cars or in lawn chairs for your flexibility, your patience, as daily updates, restrictions, and guidelines due to COVID-19 dictated the possibility of such a ceremony. To say that it is a pleasure addressing you tonight is a massive understatement, as 12 weeks ago, all of this was uncertain. But before I begin, I'd like to take a moment and thank all who helped make Indian Hill an exceptional place to work, learn, and grow. To the Board of Education, PTO, boosters, our foundation, teams, clubs, and community partners. Thank you for your continued dedication and commitment to our Braves and providing us with the ability and support to allow their dreams to become reality. I also must give a special shout out to Mr. Scott Kimmons, who you just saw, Mr. Denny Dubs, who you usually do not see behind the scenes, Mrs. Donna Frickman, Mrs. Mary Helen Hedgebeth, and Mrs. Karen Post, who together worked tirelessly these past few weeks to help make this moment happen. Give them a round of applause, please. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child, and so I must express my sincere appreciation and gratitude for our entire staff. Almost 3 months ago, seemingly overnight, our entire world changed in an instant, forcing all of us to make bold decisions, to pivot, adapt, and jump headfirst into a learning environment never before navigated by so many of us. Our staff embraced the circumstances and met that challenge head on, quickly modifying, creating, learning, relearning, and unlearning so much that has become natural to us for so long. This collective effort, district-wide, was nothing short of extraordinary, and I am simply in awe of the passion, dedication, and all-in attitude to everyone that calls Indian Hill Exempted Village School District their home. Let's give them a round of applause as well. And now the class of 2020. Approximately 11 months ago, that is one more month than it should have been, we sat together in the auditorium and began talking about your year as seniors at Indian Hill High School. In a place rooted in tradition and excellence, I challenged you to raise the bar on yourselves and leave a legacy that you, your family, and all of Braves Nation could be proud of. Who knew that this school year, an unknown agent would influence that legacy and script itself into the story of the class of 2020? However, Last month, during our Class of 2020 video celebration, when we had the chance to celebrate each of you, hear the amazing musical performance and speeches of many of you, all of us were reminded that the legacy we leave, the legacy you leave, does not have to be defined by COVID-19. Each day, our actions will define our story, and since the closing of school in early March, I have seen the Class of 2020 do extraordinary things. In fact, I remember during the very first Google chat I hosted, Ellie Bayless and Mary James called in from a local assisted living center where they were delivering meals, immediately thinking about others and some of our most vulnerable community members. Since Friday, March 13th, yes, that was Friday the 13th when schools closed, I have seen our seniors call one another, encourage one another, bake cookies together, play music together, create PPE for our frontline workers, and meet with one another. Maintaining social distancing, of course, except Luke Lundberg and Duke Weiler. I see you. The very first time they called in when they were together. But as I reflect on this year, I cannot help to express what a joy it is to work here alongside all of you guys each day. Greeting each of you in the morning, rain or shine, seeing you walk in with one another, ready to take on the day, is often the best part of my day. And something that I have missed terribly since quarantine began. As I reflect on this year, I will not allow the circumstances of today diminish, erase, or negatively impact the legacy that the Class of 2020 has helped to create. Your final year has been truly unforgettable. Seniors, look around. Tonight is still your moment. Although it may look different than expected, although it may have taken much longer to be here than originally planned, tonight marks the culmination and celebration of all that you have worked so very hard for. For some, you have walked the halls of Indian Hill for 13 years. For others, your story started more recently, bringing new perspectives and your own story, making our great school even better. But remember, it is just the beginning. Although we face an uncertain future, and at times with all that is going on in the world it seems bleak, I challenge you to think past that. Mark Twain once said, 20 years from now you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, and discover. With what seem like daunting obstacles ahead, it would be easy to make excuses and find comfort in not taking risks. It is our fear of failure that can be most paralyzing. And taking that first step is often the hardest. Whatever it is that you will soon pursue as you head to new adventures, remember, amazing things do not happen from a place of comfort. Taking calculated risks is how dreams become realized and the impossible becomes obtainable. During quarantine, I challenged you all to model the way and finish strong. Whether in person or remote, your actions help to script your story and leave your legacy. And seniors, you did not disappoint. So finally, if the current crisis has taught us anything, it is the importance of meaningful and authentic connection. Stephen Covey writes that what you do has a far greater impact than what you say. The world is a better place when we walk through this life together. And I challenge you to be your very best each day and inspire others along the way. Continue to connect with one another, encourage one another, and root for one another. Now more than ever, we need to show the world that this generation, your generation, is ready to take on the challenges of tomorrow and help build a brighter future for all of us. Explore, dream, and discover. This is not goodbye, seniors. It's simply see you soon. Congratulations, and let's go Braves. And now, Mr. Konecki and the members of the Board of Education, I am pleased to present for graduation the Class of 2020. At this time, I would like to ask our school counselors, Mrs. Cottrell and Ms. Kearns, to come forward and read the roll of graduates.
Would row 1 please stand? As you're standing, you will walk toward Mr. Hayes and then walk up the stairs across the stage and accept your diploma. And move down toward Mr. Damadeo and you'll have your photo taken. Matthias Wayne Davis. Gregory Michael Geurra. Elizabeth Hart Hagen. Catherine Barrett Hagen. Logan Christopher Hamilton. Hossein Hashimian. Parker June Hayes. David Asher Heilbrunn. Haley Elizabeth Hirsch. Ethan Duffett Horton. Sumaya Hossein. Logan Michael Junkins. Margaret Ann Jutsey. Tara Rose Keenan. Yosef Abdallah Kais. James Vincent Kennedy. Row 1, you may be seated. Row 2, please rise. Minso Kim. Nicholas Walter Curting. Christian Barnett Cole. Sebastian Davis Kong. Marcarel Oliver Jacques Lalama. Elise Renee Lambert. Samuel Lanjokola. Pietro Alessandro Levezzo.
Genevieve Catherine Lewis. Alexander David Limburg. Charles Camise Lindberg. Frank Vincent Lopez III. Sean Wenlung Liu. Luke James Lumberg. Allison Lixing Ma. Cameron Robert Mackey. Row 2, you can sit, and row 3, please stand. Rebecca Jane McTaggart. Anna Christiane Mayu. Julia Jean Marie McInich. Matthew Connor McLaren. Julia Reed Miller. Madeline Stoddard Miller. Michael Ruther Moore. Siddharth Nandakumar. Heidi Ann Niekamp. Chad William Montgomery Novak. Dylan James Nunn. Callahan Davis Odell. George Adam O'Hanlon.
Where are you? Can't tell. No, I can't.
Okay, you ready? Once he's-
Thank you, members of the Board of Education. On behalf of the class of 2020, I proudly accept these diplomas. Seniors, please stand at this time. Seniors, please move your tassel from the right to the left to symbolize that we have graduated. Seniors, please be seated. And now I would like to introduce the Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Konecki.
Good evening. I'm so proud to be here this evening in the presence of the class of resilience, the class of patience, the class of leaders before me, the esteemed class of 2020. We asked of you something that we have not asked of any graduating class before you. In the midst of crisis, in the midst of uncertainty, and in the midst of change, we called upon you to be the light. You who learned here, you who served here, you who created here, our senior students. You are who we look to for inspiration, and it is to you who we will continue to look to use your light to guide us into the future. You have been brave. We are so proud of you. This is what we wish for you to remember as you enter the next exciting chapter and story of your life. When you feel lost, when you feel uncertain, when you feel darkness, come home to what you learned here This is the place that gave you fuel. You grew in this space. It nourished you. Let this place continue to serve as your lighthouse to guide you. Let this place be the one that lives in your memory as one of safety and love. Your brave family will always be right here. Class of 2020, you have made history, and I know you will make history. I'm so excited to see the bright futures you create for yourself and for our world. I bid you congratulations as graduates, and I greet you now as the newest Indian Hill High School alumni. Never forget, you are and always will be Braves. Lead on. Congratulations, class of 2020. Congratulations.
All right, seniors, congratulations. Listen, before you all go, make sure you take a couple of minutes, take some fantastic photos with your family. I know that you have to return your graduate gowns. You'll see a gentleman back there on your way out with his arms up like this. As you drive out, just give him your gown, and you're good to go. Guys, we miss you. We love you. So proud of you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it.
Let's pave be the road that you follow.